Alright, we're going to start off with the basic frame, and this is going to be the top and the bottom of any railing that you do. Now I always use channel. You can use flat bar if you want, but flat bar is just kind of difficult to deal with because you have to set up jig, few more jigs to keep everything up and straight, and a lot of times if you're not using thick enough flat bar, the heat generated from the welds of the pickets will distort the flat bar quite a bit, and you might not be noticeable until you actually put it up and you're looking down a straight line, and it just doesn't look good. So these are the most common metals to use for your channel. Now you have your basic channel here, which is just basic run-of-the-mill channel. It's really, really cheap, really easy to deal with. It's very, very, very good to use. Now the next thing to do is if you're doing long sections, I highly recommend getting punch channel. If you have over 100 feet of railing, go with the punch channel. Yes, it costs more than regular channel, but it saves you so much time simply because everything is already marked out for you. They already have holes punched out for you. And you can get this in different sizes. You can get this is 1/2 inch punched, you can get it 3/4 inch punched, and up to 1 inch punched. Now the great thing about this is that it's already spaced out. You can get this in 4-inch centers, which means from center to center is 4 inches, and that is code. That is the smallest spacing that you're ever going to need. But that is pretty standard on most railings that you're going to be going 4 inches. Sometimes 5 inches, but most of the time you're going to be in 4 inches. If you stay at a 4-inch center, you will always be safe when it comes to inspection time. But you can get these in 4-inch centers, 5-inch centers, and 6-inch centers, and it just saves you so much time in the welding process because you don't have to have spacers, you don't have to make special spacers and measure each individual picket out because it's already done for you. Now the important thing to remember when using punch channel is in the cutting process. Now obviously there's really not much to do here other than measure it out, stick it on a saw, or get your angle grinder or your chop saw and chop away, and you have your pieces. Now there's a little more to think about when using punch channel. Simply because you already have your spaces there, you need to make sure that you measure correctly and that your holes are going to line up on the top and the bottom. Since on railings, you're always going to use your channel on the top and on the bottom because it's your basic framework, you're always going to have 2 pieces. So let's say these are my 2 pieces here. One's going to be the top, one's going to be the bottom. Or I guess it could be more like this. One's going to be the top, one's going to be the bottom. You want to make sure that these holes line up. Now the best way to do that while cutting is to actually cut 2 pieces at the same time. And to do that, what I do is I just I stick them together, sandwich them together just like that, and they'll stay in place. And just line up the holes. Line up the holes, and you want to look down as far as you're going to measure. So say I'm measuring a 5-inch piece, I'm going to measure out 60 inches, and I'm just going to kind of eye these real quick and make sure all the holes line up, because sometimes, not all the times, and most of the time it doesn't happen, but occasionally you'll get a piece that was punched wrong from the mill, and you might have 10 holes line up, but when you get down to 11 and 12, they might start to get off a little bit. So you want to double check, because that can be just a big pain in the butt when you're putting together a railing and you get down to the end and you find out nothing lines up. So line your holes up together, just like that, and then measure and cut. I almost exclusively use punch channel nowadays just because I don't like dealing with having to measure out individual pickets. Again, this costs a little bit more. At the time of this recording, this is about $17 a stick for a 20-foot stick, where this is about $7 or $8, so it's about twice as much. But again, you save so much time, and you also don't have to make sure that your pickets are cut exactly the right length, because you have a 1/2 inch gap on either side, so that gives you 1 inch to play with where you can slide a picket up and down, whereas on the flat channel everything has to be perfect because you're coming up to 2 flat edges. So it's give and take. It depends on what you want to do, and it also depends on your budget, but more than likely when you're dealing with railings, you can calculate this into the cost, and your customer is going to pay for it.